Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP today. Pecco Bagnaia returned to form at Aragon with a solid third-place finish in Sunday's MotoGP Grand Prix. The Ducati Lenovo rider held off intense pressure from Pedro Acosta and stayed in striking distance of the Marquez brothers up front. After a frustrating Saturday, Bagnaia credited smart setup changes, including upgraded brake systems, and a flawless race strategy as the keys to his turnaround. On a day when Ducati celebrated a clean sweep of top results in Aragon, Marc Márquez's flawless win and Pecco Bagnaia's resilient podium, it was easy to focus on the riders alone. Yet behind the scenes, team manager Davide Tardozzi was orchestrating every detail to lift Bagnaia back to his best and keep Marc sharp. Here's a look at the comments Tardozzi shared off camera, piece by piece. Marc Marquez's emphatic win at the Aragon Grand Prix looked almost flawless on TV, 7 years after his last clean sweep. Weekend here, he again led every session, from FP1 through the final lap on Sunday. But beneath the perfection was the weight of past errors haunting his mind, a deliberate strategy to keep his focus razor sharp. Here's a breakdown of the thoughts and strategies Marc revealed off camera, piece by piece. In a weekend where Pecco Bagnaia's form dipped and expectations soared, Jack Miller offered an insider's critique few saw coming. As a former teammate and longtime paddock friend, Miller's observations cut to the heart of Bagnaia's 2025 struggles, not mechanical woes, but something deeper and less visible. Here's what he shared off camera. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Bagnaia's performance on Sunday was a dramatic reversal of Saturday's troubles. The Italian admitted he couldn't do anything during the sprint due to persistent front-end issues, but by race day, everything clicked. What changed? A shift to larger brake discs and improved maneuverability on corner entry. Bagnaia highlighted this adjustment as the breakthrough that gave him confidence again on the GP24. There's a long way to go from not being able to take a corner without closing the front end to having a race like today's. I had a lot of problems yesterday, from braking to entry. I was losing the front everywhere. The bigger brakes gave me much more maneuverability on braking entry. That was a big advantage, Pecco Bagnaia said. Beyond just the hardware, Bagnaia praised his team's willingness to experiment with assumptions, an approach he believes helped unlock consistency and pace. The Ducati rider pointed to his data showing that, all weekend, he had been pushing the hardest and slowing down the least among his peers. With a setup that allowed for more flexible braking and corner entry, he was finally able to ride to his limit again. We have to think outside the box, think about things we take for granted. Those can make the difference. It helped me a lot to have more flexibility, to manage entries whether I push harder or release more, and not be off dot. Bagnaia spent much of the race under pressure from Red Bull Gasca's rookie Pedro Acosta, who had a late race surge. But the reigning champion showed poise and control, keeping Acosta behind and locking in third place. It wasn't just the brakes that made the difference. Bagnaia gave credit to his team for nailing the tricky front tire pressure, something that's often a make-or-break factor in modern MotoGP. Pedro was very fast in the end. He exploited the front tire perfectly. But our bike is more competitive, and that allowed me to break away and follow Alex and Marc. My team did a great job with the front tire pressure. I'm very happy with the work of the entire team. Pecco Bagnaia might not have left Aragon with a win, but third place felt like a victory after a challenging start to the weekend. With improved braking, better feel on corner entry, and tactical brilliance under pressure from Acosta, Bagnaia remains in the title hunt and continues proving why he's a two-time world champion. From pole to fastest lap, and victories in both the sprint and the Grand Prix, Marc's performance was textbook Ducati dominance, a fact Tardozzi was quick to underline. Pole, fastest lap, and victory in the sprint and the GP. A perfect weekend for Marc and his team. Davide Tardozzi statement. Despite a disastrous Saturday sprint, Bagnaia bounced back to claim third. Tardozzi stressed that every department in the garage, from chassis to electronics, pulled together to rescue his weekend. Everyone, from Bologna on down, did everything to help Pecco return to his usual positions and his usual competitiveness. When Marc stumbled off the line in the sprint, Tardozzi noted the hallmark of a true champion, waiting for the perfect moment rather than forcing a risky pass. Even with 8 world titles, Marc remains coachable. Tardozzi pointed to the 6-time advice sessions they share as proof of Marc's hunger to improve, lap after lap. On Saturday, when he had the problem at the start, he didn't rush to overtake Alex, but waited a few laps and then tried the maneuver when he was sure. Marc knows races can be won by a hair's breadth, and you don't always have to be a clean sweep. Despite his 8 titles, he's always willing to listen and work on his weaknesses. After a string of tough weekends, Bagnaia's calm return to form was no accident. Tardozzi highlighted the psychological edge Pecco tapped into once he felt the bike come alive. He couldn't stay calm after recent races, but here he showed great mental strength. When I saw his laps in the warm-up, I immediately knew he could do well. We talked a lot with Pecco after the sprint race. The engineers had a good idea last night. We put something on the bike this morning. It seemed to work from the first lap. Late-night engineering tweaks turned Bagnaia's sprint disaster into Sunday's podium. Tardozzi revealed those tweaks came after lengthy chats with both Bologna and Pecco. Amid speculation about intra-team politics, Tardozzi was unequivocal: Bagnaia never stood alone in the pits. The factory's full weight was behind him and will be again at Mugello. There hasn't been a moment when we've left him alone. Despite what you've read, we've always fought to get him back on track, and I think we can do more tomorrow to put him in a position to fight for victory at Mugello. Ducati's Aragon weekend was as much a testament to its mechanics and strategists as it was to its star riders. From midnight bike updates to unwavering pit wall support, Tardozzi's invisible hand guided both Marc and Pecco to find their form. With Mugello on the horizon, that relentless team spirit may prove even more decisive than raw horsepower. For Marc, triumph at Motorland Aragon wasn't just another win, it was non-negotiable. He felt the pressure of lost points earlier in the season, and letting another home-like venue slip through his fingers simply wasn't an option. This victory was mandatory in our garage and in myself. Why? Because if I want to fight for this championship, I cannot. I'm leading, I have an advantage against Alex, more against Pecco. But in 2 good circuits for me, Austin and Jerez, I lost 50 points. So, it's there where we need to keep working. Marc Marquez statement. Marc refused to let previous season slip-ups repeat themselves. His mind ran through every error, especially the crash in Austin, as the laps ticked down, using the memory as fuel rather than a distraction. Of course, if we want to fight for the championship, we cannot repeat a mistake, especially like Austin. The other ones, okay. But Austin was a big mistake, and then today I was very focused. Even with a comfortable margin on the stopwatch, Marc knew that cruising could be dangerous. At 7 laps to go, he realized his mind was drifting, so he deliberately dialed up the pace to force himself back into full concentration. When 6-7 laps remained, I started to think about those mistakes, how to manage the situation. But then I was riding in 147s low without full concentration. Then I decided to increase the speed to be focused again. Crossing the line first was one thing, crossing it with his brother Alex right behind him was another. Marc admitted that the moment held personal significance, a stark contrast to the muted celebrations in Jerez. I just enjoyed that last lap and the finish line with Alex. Because in Jerez I was more sad than usual because he won and I was not able to celebrate on the podium with him. After a handful of tricky weekends, Marc felt that Aragon marked a true return to the rhythm he'd found in preseason tests and the opening rounds. It wasn't nostalgia. It was proof that the Ducati package and his mindset were back in sync. Here I came back. I felt again the same feeling as I had in the preseason and as I had in the first races. It's true that Le Mans, especially Silverstone, we missed the way a bit, but we understood why. And then here, I felt again that feeling. Marc Márquez's Aragon weekend was more than a statistical repeat of his 2015 dominance. It was a masterclass in self-awareness. By channeling past mistakes into motivation, pushing his lap times to keep his head in the race, and relishing the podium moment with his brother, he demonstrated that victory, for him, is as much mental as it is physical. As the season marches on, Marc's blend of speed, strategy, and emotional intelligence could be the blueprint that keeps him at the front. Miller and Bagnaia shared boxes at Pramac and then Ducati, a partnership that yielded Bagnaia's first title. That history gives Miller's words extra weight. He's seen Bagnaia at his peak and knows when something's off. I spent many laps behind Pecco in my career. In the sprint especially, just looking at him, he's very neutral on the bike, not a lot of hanging off, which is generally Pecco's strong point. Jack Miller's statement. It's not the chassis or engine, but Bagnaia's trust in his own instincts that Miller flagged. When a rider's self-belief wavers, even small bumps can feel like chasms. It's a confidence thing, it's a feeling thing. Bagnaia's trademark deep lean and aggressive body positioning have always been hallmarks of his style. In Aragon, Miller noted those markers were missing, a sign that Pecco no longer felt at one with the Desmacetici. Through flowing sections like turns 1 and 2, Bagnaia once used precise body movement to flick the Ducati from apex to apex. Miller saw the struggle to muster that lean angle and exploit the bike's agility. He was rather neutral with the bike, kind of in the center, because he doesn't trust what it's doing or what it's going to do. He made the bike turn a lot with less lean angle. That's something it seems like he's struggling to do at the moment. When a rider hesitates, margins vanish. Miller's critique wasn't about lines or pace. It was a call for Bagnaia to reclaim his instinctive flow, to ride without second-guessing every input from the front end. Not a lot of hanging off. He doesn't trust what it's doing, especially up through the first, flowing couple of corners. Miller's analysis pointed to a clear prescription: rebuild confidence through small victories in practice and warm up, then let that translate into aggressive race craft again. Only when Bagnaia believes can he ride like the champion we know. Jack Miller implied restore the feeling, trust the bike, and the results will follow. Jack Miller's candid breakdown laid bare a truth that machines can't fix. A champion's inner game is the ultimate performance factor. As Bagnaia works to rediscover his signature style, it's that lost confidence, not horsepower, that will define his path back to the podium. Thanks for watching ZNGP today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!